Hi, my name's Rachel McLeod. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and a mental health therapy and an emotional wellness coach. And today I'm going to be talking about depression and its most common root. And um, and I help people. I specialize in helping people do the brain work for resolving symptoms of anxiety, depression, and traumatic stress. And the reason I do work with all three is because I'm working with the same brain function that gets challenged and that doesn't actually complete, that causes symptoms of either anxiety, depression, or post traumatic stress. Sometimes anxiety and depression is post traumatic stress, um, but it can be other things as well. And usually it resolves with this one process working. This is the one process I'm talking about all the time in my videos. I may or may not get to it in this one, so I would encourage you to refer to other ones. But let's dive in. I want to talk about depression from where I see this happening and how I treat it. So, how I see this presenting clinically and in people's lives, and how I interpret brain function as a result of when my clients show up with symptoms of depression. And so, depression it really is a disorder that occurs, and there are so many symptoms with it. There's losing interest in things that used to be pleasurable, feeling slow, moving slow, talking slow, um, feeling emotionally more numb, and um, being more tired, sleeping more, sometimes eating more, needing to comfort more, right? Goes up, that increases. Low mood, low self esteem, um, just a heaviness. And clients will talk about a heaviness in their body, feeling like they're full of sludge. Right. And so you lose a lot of motivation. Sometimes there's lots of big feelings of despair, hopelessness, and it really can go on and on. Um, and so sometimes people are pretty high functioning while they're depressed. So that they actually don't really realize they're depressed until they start healing, and then they're like, "Gosh, I was so depressed." Right? That's when the depression is kind of as out of the awareness, but it's absolutely present. And and so when I have clients with depression, what I am hearing from them, from their body, their mind body system, is there's too much pain moving through the system, and we had to just shut this whole thing down. We had to just we can't let this pain through, so we have to like tone it down quite a bit, but everything gets toned down. All the motivation, all the energy levels, everything gets toned down, and it really is, for me, there's too much pain moving through the system. So when I'm working with people with depression, I'm looking for where's the pain coming from. And then we are going to go help the brain process that pain, because emotional, relational, social pain is it really is used by is important feedback the body is giving. The body is designed to take that emotional distress, the heaviness in the body. All of that is data and information. It's electrical, right? It's where our system is reporting, but as it goes up through the brainstem, it gets registered as pain, because the pain neurons don't distinguish between social, emotional, and relational pain from physical pain. It's all the same thing to that part of the brain. And so the brain's job, that part, is to alert that. And then the survival system's job is to get you away from pain. And so it stops that information from processing and from healing and being converted into information, data, new ways of being, higher perspectives, all these beautiful things that the pain will actually become. The mind body system is designed to kind of harvest and convert that pain, which is a raw material, right? It needs to go through the brain, get put it to the prefrontal cortex, where words will be added and more, and our values, and like there's a whole factory production up there, how the brain takes pain and makes wellness and growth, mastery, maturation, all the things. And but pain can get caught in a loop of getting sent back into the body, and the body's like, well, hey, I need to send this to you, this painful thing happened. And so it needs to give that report and complete the report. But that part of the brain is like, I got to get away from this pain. What are you talking about, pain? And so that keeps going back down in the system. So that pain can stay unprocessed in the body for a lifetime. Once the brain is rejecting it, it will pretty much reject it unless there's magic that happens. And if you, not magic, um, I'm being dramatic. um, there is a process brains go through that involve the survival system has to be um, engaged, receiving signals of safety at the same time the pain is moving. A lot of times, once we feel the pain, we're in so much pain we just move straight into survival states and getting away from the pain. But really, we really want to get that pain through the process and completed because the brain's going to do wonderful things with this. But when it doesn't get through, it starts backing up, it starts building up, and it's like that heaviness is all that pain that isn't making it through the healing process, the converting process, the resolution process, right? And so and that's the brain's response. Depression is a natural response to that, and it's an accurate response. When we have too much pain moving through the system, it's accurate to try to reduce the pain, to separate you from the pain, to make the pain unconscious, to get away from the pain, and depression is the result. And so it's often more kind than letting the pain run through the system. And so sometimes people will really try and take off the depression, get the brain to not do depression. And so I call this like removing the depression. Like you can just get in there and kind of pull the depression off. Medication will do this. There's strategies where you can go after the depression straight directly. I don't like that because I feel like that's an important response that is wise, because once that comes off, you have access to all of that pain. This is why people often, when they start depression medication, they have more anxiety. Well, that's because the depression was holding the anxiety down, right? When they have, then, so what I like to do instead, and it doesn't take a long time, is to go find the pain and and get that pain resolved. Because then the brain will look around and say, why do we have this depression on? We don't even need this. And it'll take it off itself. And so then the depression resolves. And a lot of times people have multiple roots in depression and reasons why the depression is there: pain, unresolved pain moving through their system, emotional, relational, social pain moving through their system. And so a lot of times the depression will lift and then it's like right back on. And I try to prep people for this in advance because a lot of times if you're living in depression, you get used to it. And then all of a sudden, everything opens up and you can see clearly and you have some motivation. You're doing things that it's like this excitement. It feels so amazing. And then it closes back up. And that's because there's more pain in there and the system's going to respond to that pain. And that's a natural thing. So I try to prepare because once that excitement happens, it's like this grief when you lose it that is so big and can really cause some big spirals. And so we really want to really prepare to, like, we're pain processing, and the brain will let us know when we've gotten all the pain because the depression isn't going to be showing up, right? The brain has interpreted, oh, we don't need this, because the brain is responding to you. It's smart, it's wise, it's wise, and it's responding to your inner world accurately. So once the pain resolves, it starts to do very different things because it doesn't need the same defense strategies. So this is signs of depression are pacers for me in therapy. When I am working with people that we're resolving post-traumatic stress, normally they'll come to me, think symptoms are pretty organized, right? And we're trying to resolve symptoms single file lines because it's less messy. Sometimes the brain is like, no, that thing that you just untangled, a bunch of stuff is going to open up, and now there's more pain moving through the system. And so my clients will report more symptoms of depression then. And that lets me know, okay, hold on, we don't need to open anything else up. There's too much pain moving through the system. Let's get this pain processed. And then the depression lifts, and then that tells me, okay, we're back. we're at pace here, and we can go ahead and keep trauma processing, post-traumatic stress, unresolved emotional distress processing. Okay. And so I don't see depression, and I'm going to say this, and it might horrify you. I don't see depression as a horrible thing. I see it as an accurate response of the inner world, and it's a sign. Now, the truth is, we have not been reading the sign well. We don't really respond to the sign well. And so people stay in depression and deep depression and lose their life to depression. It's because they've been in it for it unresolved for years and years and decades. Right. And the truth is here is that there's unresolved pain. And until that pain gets resolved, the depression is going to be there. Your body will respond and put it on there. It will, oh, we need some depression here. Let's suppress everything. Let's depress everything. Right. And so really, if we start moving and working with depression as the sign, the body's communicating there's too much pain here, let's just go and resolve pain. That means we have to get better at resolving pain, emotional pain, social pain, relational pain, those sorts of things. But many people who have some pretty good early childhood years where they were trained and supported and wired to process emotions, hold their emotions, acknowledge their emotions, integrate their emotions, were accepted even when they had big emotions. They will hit things that are painful, have some symptoms of depression, and then they're moving on because their brain really can work through it. I find people with early complex childhood trauma really struggle the most here because there's so much early pain and it's in so many places, and the nervous system and the mind body system hasn't had a lot of successful practice taking pain, and it hasn't had successful support in you have pain in your system and it gets processed. A lot of times in family systems that are already overloaded with emotional pain, mental illness, addiction, there's no room for developing skills and support with emotions. There's just no room. There's no more mental, emotional space to help children learn how to move with their inner world and their emotions well, so that when life happens, their system already has had enough practice, and then they will be able to process things that happen because life happens. Right? We have emotional, social, and relational pain. And our systems need to be really great at working with that, and we can wire for that. And if that didn't happen in childhood, that's what we're doing now. That's what I spend a lot of time with clients doing is rewiring their system to use fear energy well, shame energy well, right? That information is painful. And especially if you've got complex childhood trauma, there's a lot of shame in there. And that actually is an accurate response that kept you safe, but it's really harming now. And so we need to get it converted into your next levels of growth and wellness and maturation and mastery. And so, and that the more that shame pain stays down there, the more depression we'll see on the outside. Right? So depression is just an outside response that the nervous system does to inner pain, emotional, social pain, relational pain. And so if we see it as a pain response, now we're doing something different. Now, if you have depression and you're on your couch, this is a pain response. This is not you're lazy, right? And the solution is pain processing. Right? Not more shaming, not wondering what's wrong with you, not wondering all this stuff. It's pain. We got to find the pain and resolve the pain. And so right now, what I want to talk about, let's shift to the most common root of depression that I have found. Okay. Now let me tell you that I'm speaking from a clinical perspective. And my entire thing is resolve things at the root. That's what I teach people to do. That's what I'm doing in sessions. That's what my program is about. It's about teaching you strategies to find the root issues. Because when you resolve the root issue, the symptoms resolve. Period. Sometimes the root issues are in vitamin and mineral deficiencies. You can do my work as much as you want, but if those are present, you're not going to stop the symptoms, right? You actually have to hop over into vitamin and mineral land and do that. And there's several different roots, but in my little root of anxiety, depression, traumatic stress, brain function, processing, the most common, so there's roots here. Okay, so the most common root I find, I don't know if I'm ready to say it. Let me say this one thing for you know, the big reveal. Um, so people have depressive symptoms, and you can track them. Like you'll see them show up in their daily life. So maybe they feel more depressed here. Then they go to work and get busy, and they take their mind off it. They come home, they're exhausted. And then so you've got symptoms in there. You've got symptoms. You can find how depression is impacting them from their daily life, right? We can take one of those and see what's going on in the mind body system. So we're kind of blowing up like a 5 minute time frame and looking in there and seeing what's going on. And then in there, we can find body sensations that will actually take us to the root issues. We can do all sorts of stuff. There's so many strategies to take present issues and get to the root, and the mind body system will tell you where it is. And so I do this a lot. So I'm grabbing symptoms and going to the root, and I know we've gotten to the root when the depression resolves. So if we're doing all this work and the depression is still there, we are not there yet, and we're not there. Okay, so we got to keep working our way in, and that is a valuable strategy, because sometimes it's very thickly woven around, and we got to actually kind of peel off the layers to get to the center, and then we discover what's in there. I mean, the mind body system will tell you. And what I find the most in there, in the most number of people, is grief. Who knew? I know I'm saying this like it's like, but seriously, a lot of times I will find people, whether it's a teenager, an adult, man or woman, a lot of times it's the depression comes around one of their beloved caregivers dying, and loss around that. And that's a time when then our social network really gets hit with a lot of overload, and sometimes there's just not enough for that person, enough support for that person to be able to process the emotional distress, especially before, like, a lot of times I will find this before the age of 10, sometimes 11 or 12. This also includes grief over divorce. This seems to be one of the other big ones. And then, but anyway, so the system during that time, the family system and the social system is so stressed and impacted that the system doesn't, the individual doesn't get the support they need to process. And if you'll remember, our mind body system is dependent on signals of safety to do the healing work. That means that's why we pick up babies and rock them. Actually, we're sending signals of safety to the baby, that part of the brain in the baby. That part of the brain is listening to the body. That means when we are in grief and someone is holding us, it is providing us the support we need to process, to get that survival system to allow the information through, to stop blocking it, and to allow that grief energy to turn into what brains make from grief: honor, acceptance, clarity, insight, inspiration. There's tons of things that will come from grief and new beginnings. The brain has to process grief to figure out what I'm going to do next. How do I go on from here? Right? And so a lot of times when this process gets halted, they don't have that, what am I going to do now? They're still in, I don't know how to be here. They're still in massive distress. Right. And so even though they've gone on, this underlying pain and grief is still moving through their system, trying probably daily to resolve. A lot of times, the more symptoms we have, the more our system is actually trying to do the healing functions. Okay. People that spend more time in depression, their system is actually trying to get in there and do the work. People that have grief wounds that don't have depression, they have trained their brain never go in there, because if we go in there, we're gonna spiral down into depression, and I don't know if we're gonna come out. And so it's a whole different thing there, but there's a lot of brain tricks for that. It's fascinating to me. But staying on topic, the grief inside is really stuff that really needs to get processed. That's the number one thing I find at the root of depression. And so, and it's not stuff, we don't just grieve by talking about things. That's using the prefrontal cortex. That's not the part of the brain where the grief is not resolving. That's blocking the grief from healing. It's actually, we need to do things with our body, and that can be really, we need to get creative there. I think this is a call, an opportunity for everyone to really consider grief as a massive opportunity and a really pivotal moment. And if we could get better at grief as a culture, that would be fabulous. I think that when we were tribal, we used to do a better job. We used to sit around the fire. We used to wail. We used to dance. We used to have ceremonies. We used to do things with our body that helped the body, mind body system convert the grief into acceptance, more self love, more connection, reverence, honor, and new beginnings. Right. And now we don't do the fire thing anymore. We don't do fire dancing. That's weird. They did all the things to the witches. So it's like all that stuff. We don't want to be doing that anymore because our system learned it's bad. So, but I think, when we're talking about grief processing with children, with teenagers, with adults, really we want to go heavy on body support, hugs, touches. Sometimes that's not safe option. Drawing, storytelling, dancing, music. You'll find lots of kids grieving with listening to music, and sometimes just acknowledging the grief and having some grief holding moments is really, really powerful. But really what I teach are some strategies to help the mind body system convert that grief into wellness. And so I teach my clients 4 interventions. I offer 3 of those for free in a free program I have that you can access on my website. Also, that's available here. I put it in the comments, in the notes. Those interventions, you really can help your brain, your mind body system complete the grief work that's remaining. And the emotional and social unresolved pain that's moving through your body. Sometimes this is rejection. Sometimes rejection's a different type of grief, but really, there's so many things we can do with this. And I've had teenagers work with me that have years and years of depression really resolve this depression quickly and become strong and heal and be well because we did that grief work. And it took maybe 2 to 3 sessions, right? So, and it doesn't have to take that long. It's just sometimes with kids, you piece it. Teenagers. Anyway, adults sometimes we do the same strategy with adults. Sometimes we go a little faster. Sometimes we do the whole thing. Whatever. It's about matching it to you. What do you need? Not what does Harry and Susie is always here, and Henry need, but really your pace matters for your healing. So if you've got depression and you want some strategies to help your mind body system heal, I invite you to join that free program. If you want to go deeper and you're just like, let's do all the exercises, the brain work, push-up, this is your brain doing push-ups, the brain push-ups, for resolving symptoms of resolving your depression. That's what my program Inner World Transformation is about. That's also available. I added that to the link. You can try that, not try it out. If you're going to do it, you really should do it. And everything's laid out step by step. So it's very easy to follow. And if you do the work, you get results. And you should notice results when you start right away. Otherwise, you will. But look for the results, because we're not in this for, I think, maybe we really want, like, actually I feel better. Actually, I'm waking up in the morning and not laying in bed. Okay, we want transformation because your brain can create that for you. It needs to, it wants to. That's what it's trying to do. That's why these symptoms are here in the first place. Okay, wonderful talking with you. I hope this helps. I hope this gives you a new spin on depression. I hope this helps help you feel less shame and less that you're the fault. And actually, you can start looking for the fault. The fault is in the pain. When the pain resolves, the depression lifts. So, wonderful connecting. I'll see you all later. Ask your questions. Make your comments. I'm watching those. I will respond. Talk to you later. Bye.